So it's late. You're driving home. Maybe you went out to dinner. Maybe you grabbed drinks with your friends. Maybe you just left the gym. Doesn't matter. You see those red and blue lights in your rearview mirror and your stomach drops. You pull over. The officer walks up to your window and shines a flashlight in your face and asks a question that sounds pretty harmless. Where are you coming from tonight? Now, here's what you need to understand. What you say next can shape the entire stop. Most people answer without thinking. They try to be polite. They try to be helpful. And that answer, the honest, casual answer, is one of the fastest ways I've seen people get themselves into trouble. And after more than 20 years of handling these cases, I can tell you this question causes problems all the time. But I'm not just going to explain why. I'm going to give you exactly what to say instead and why it works. Where are you coming from? Sounds like small talk. It's not. It's a way to get you talking and see what you give them. The officer isn't really interested in where you were. They're interested in what your answer opens up. Now, if you say, I was at a bar, now that's in their report. That alone gives them a reason to start looking for signs of alcohol and impairment. If you say, I was at a friend's house, now they can start asking what you were doing there and how long you stayed, whether you had anything to drink. If you say, I was at work, now they know your route. And if something doesn't line up, that becomes suspicious. Every answer leads to another question. And that's why they start with that simple question. And while you're answering, they're watching you, how you speak, how long you pause, whether you look away, whether your words come out clean, and then whether or not there's any smell that they notice while you are speaking. That all ends up in their report. So it's not really about your answer. It really isn't. It's about what they can take from it. That's why there isn't a good answer whatsoever. The question is designed so that anything you say gives them something to work with. But here's what most people don't realize. You don't have to answer it. You're not required to explain anything. You're not required to tell them where you've been during a traffic stop. Not in Texas, not in Pennsylvania, not anywhere. All you're required to provide is your license, your registration, and your proof of insurance. That's it. And there's a reason for that. The Constitution protects you from having to say something that could be used against you. And that's exactly what this question is trying to get. Even something that sounds harmless can turn into a problem once it's written down and followed up on. And this part is important. Choosing not to answer is not evidence of guilt. They can't search your car or arrest you just because you didn't answer a question you weren't required to answer in the first place. So now you're in that moment. You don't want to say the wrong thing, but sitting there silently doesn't feel right either. So what do you say? You say this: Officer, I prefer not to answer the questions about where I've been. Am I free to go or am I being detained? That's it. I prefer not to answer. It's polite. It's calm. It doesn't escalate anything. About where I've been. You're being specific. You're not refusing everything. You're just setting a boundary on that topic. Am I free to go or am I being detained? That is the key question. It forces the officer to make a decision. Either the stop is over or they need a legal reason to keep you there. If they push and say something like, if you got nothing to hide, just answer the question. You don't argue. You just say, I provided my license and my insurance. I'm exercising my rights, and leave it there. Say nothing else. If they ask you to step out of the car, you step out. I don't want to hear anything about the Mims case or knowing your rights and acting all crazy. Don't say that. Stay calm. Stay silent. Stay respectful. But you don't start answering questions. If they ask to search your car, you say, I do not consent to any searches. If they keep questioning you, you say, I like to speak with an attorney before answering any questions. The goal here isn't to win an argument on the side of the road at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to win those arguments. The goal is to avoid making the situation worse. As I'm always fond of saying, at any traffic stop, your job is to get home. Fight about it later. The real fight, if there is one, happens later with your attorney in front of a judge. And here's why that matters more than what people think. The biggest mistake people make don't happen during the traffic stop. It happens afterwards in court. When they say something they shouldn't say to a judge, that makes a bad situation so much worse. And most people don't even realize that they're doing it. In the next video, I'm going to walk you through the 10 things you should never, and I mean never, say to a judge, because those mistakes can cost you more than anything that happened on the side of the road. Watch that video next, and I'll see you over there.